Okay, Bible and Daily Lifers, we're going through the New Testament in a year, and we are in the book of Hebrews, chapter 11. Now, chapter 11 is a pretty long chapter. We're not going to get through this chapter in 10 minutes. There's no way. There's 39 verses, and I guess if we read really fast and talked really fast, we could get through it, but we couldn't because there's just way too much content, way too much going on in here. And this is what's known as the faith chapter, and it talks about people who had faith. Old Testament people and how they walked by faith and how they believed God and how they trusted in God's promises. Now, I think it's important that it's in chapter 11 of Hebrews that it begins to talk about people in their faith, because the first 10 chapters talk all about Jesus and what Jesus has done for us. And that's the order that it's supposed to be. It's about what Jesus has done for us, not so much what we have done for Jesus, not so much what we have done for God. And so the first 10 chapters, of course, talk about what Jesus is better than what? Better than the prophets. He's better than the angels. He's better than Moses. He's better than the priests. He's better than the high priest. He's better than the tabernacle. He's better than the temple. He's better than the law. He's better than the old covenant. He's better. He's better than the sacrifices of animals. His blood is better than the blood that can be spilt by innocent animals. He's better than everything. And so you spend 10 chapters talking about Jesus and how he is better than everything, that he's supreme, that he's sufficient, that he's all that we need. Add no human effort to it. It's all about Jesus. And then you get to chapter 11 where it talks about people who've walked with God and have believed God. It's the right order. And we like to see it, at least I like to say, that we like to put more emphasis on what God has done for us than what we can do for God. And that's exactly what the book of Hebrews does. It does it in that order. It puts more emphasis on what Jesus has done for us than what we can do for Jesus. And it starts to talk about how these people have walked it out by faith. And then the next two chapters that we'll look at, chapter 12 and chapter 13, they're the shortest chapters in the book of Hebrews. And it's there that we're told what we should be doing, how we should be living. And it's only a few words that tell us that. And I think the order's right. 10 chapters of what Jesus has done for us, concentrating on him, looking at him, putting all the emphasis on Jesus, bringing glory to Jesus, who's better than all of those things. And then how people lived it out and how they walked it out. And then a few things for you to do. Let's just keep the emphasis where it needs to be and keep the glory where it's supposed to be. The glory doesn't come to us who are, doing all this good stuff. It belongs to Jesus Christ, who died for us and loves us. So let's just jump in. Chapter 11, verse 1. Now, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance of what we do not see. Now, I like to paraphrase this to say that faith is believing God for what he has said, regardless of our circumstances and situations. Faith is believing that God will do what he said he's going to do, regardless of our circumstances or our situations. And that's what you find in chapter 11, that God has been faithful. He made promises and he followed through with those promises. And so we can trust God. We can believe that God will do what God said he was going to do. And what did he say he was going to do? He said he was going to raise you from the dead. He said that he was going to make you totally righteous. He said that he was going to forgive your sins. He said that he was going to cleanse you. I believe all those things. And faith is believing that God is the one who will cleanse me, that God is the one that will raise me from the dead. I believe that. I believe all of those things. And so faith is confidence in what we hope for. Now let's talk about hope, because we're not just hoping in hope. Oh, I hope so, I hope so, I hope so. I hope this happens. Cross your fingers and hope that it happens. Cross your fingers and hope that it happens. No, it's hoping and believing in God's promises and the assurance of what we do not see. You see, our faith is built on something that's objective. The object of our faith is Jesus. We believe Jesus and we believe what he said and we believe who he is. And so it's not that we're just, hoping against hope. We're believing in the creator of the universe, the one who made the heavens and the earth, the one who went to the cross and died for us. We're believing him. And our faith is in him. It's not abstract. It's not you make believe. It's not I hope so. It's not, oh, whatever. It's confidence in God. And then it says, this is what the ancients were commended for. Well, the book of Hebrews was written 2,000 years ago. So if 2,000 years ago, the writer of Hebrews is talking about the ancients, they're really ancient now. And this is what people of old, people in the Old Testament, were commended for having faith. And so faith isn't new. It's been going on since the beginning of time. It's been going on since the beginning of creation. And we have all of these examples of people who have lived by faith, the ancients. And then it says, by faith, we understand the universe is formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made out of that which is visible. Well, that's kind of a weird statement. And really, during what they called the Enlightenment period, when people got really smart, 1700s, thought they knew everything, beginning of the scientific age, the rational age, rational scientific people said this is a ridiculous statement. You can't really believe the Bible because it says that we believe that those things that were made out of that which is not visible. And they're like, no, that's kind of dumb. A tree is a tree, and you can see the tree, and you can cut the tree and see what's inside of the tree, and you can see what grows on the tree. It's not invisible. It's ridiculous to say that a tree is made out of invisible things. It's made out of visible things. Well, turns out to not be true, because if the scientific age began, in the 1700s, that whole age of philosophy and the age of reason and the pursuit of reason and rational and all of that kind of stuff. Well, when the scientific age begins to really mature, it comes into what's known as the atomic age. And sure enough, what did we learn in the atomic age? We learned that everything that is made out of that which is not visible. And what is it made out of? Protons, neutrons, and electrons, atoms, just like the Bible said 2,000 years ago. Believe the book. Then it goes on and it talks about a whole series of people who lived by faith. Abel, Cain and Abel, the killing of the brother. Talks about Enoch, who believed God and was taken from this life. It talks about Noah. I love that it talks about Noah. Like, so many people want to not believe that story, and Jesus talks about it. Amazing to me that the very things that a lot of people would be critical of in the enlightened age, in the age of science, Jesus talked about them. Some of the things that are hardest to believe for people. Adam and Eve. Jesus went and talked about Adam and Eve. Jesus believed it. If it's good enough for Jesus, it's good enough for me. What about Jonah and the whale? That's a fish story if I ever heard one. Well, Jesus goes and talks about Jonah and the great fish. What about Noah and the flood? Yeah, Jesus says, as it was in the days of Noah. So he believes those things. And when you get into it and you really look at it and you look at the evidence and you look at what's there, they're reasonable stories. They're just reasonable stories. So, it is what it is. Just take it by faith, believe it, and then you find out it was true all along. It talks about Abraham, who we know is the father of the Hebrew people and came from the Fertile Crescent. The old history book used to be that history begins at Sumer and the Fertile Crescent, the Tigris-Euphrates Valley, Mesopotamia. And all of modern history begins there, and everybody knows it. And that's where Abraham came from. The book is true. The book is true. It's got everything that we need, and it goes on and it talks about other people, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and this goes on and talks about so many other people, Moses, Rahab, Gideon, on and on and on about people who had faith, people who trusted God. And I hope that you and I have faith and that we trust God and believe Him and believe His word. That faith is believing that God will do what He promised to do regardless of our situations or our circumstances. Let's hold on to faith. Let's hold on to Jesus. So bless you guys. Love you. May the Lord bless you and keep you and make His face shine upon you, give you peace, and increase your faith. Hey, bless you.